What is good? Welcome back to the channel. So, it's been a while. Um, I'm no longer in Thailand. I'm in America. So, yeah, there's that. And also, I'm currently renovating my new spot where I'm going to be doing my rants and streaming and everything, music. So, that's going to take maybe another week or so. So, until then, this is my spot for my rants in my bed. But today we'll be talking about, or the topic for today is getting married even worth it nowadays? So I'd like to start with my own experience and I'll just give you the answer. I have mixed feelings about this because marriage has always been something I look forward to, you know. It's always been this end goal kind of thing, like many other men. You once you get your career going, you get your marriage, and then you get kids, right? And you live happily ever after. That's not the case anymore. So I apologize about the background noise if there is any. But yeah, that's not the case today. Today, the modern world, for a lot of modern women, think differently. Most are against it. They see, hey, there's really no reason for doing that when I can be independent. They have more rights than when they did back then, so now they can feel like they can accomplish more. You know what I mean? But in reality, they can accomplish stuff. They become doctors, nurses, very, very high in professions. But when it comes to making actual money or actual business decisions that matter, they are not qualified. And I'm speaking from a grand perspective. And let me give an example. The Forbes list, right? The richest people in the world, they're not women. And there's a reason for that. Because if they were women, then women would be inventing things. Women would be doing things that actually like took creativity. You know what I mean? The richest women in the world, do you know how they got their wealth? From divorce. Yes. Or some fraudulent company that's doomed for failure. That's most likely illegal. I'm not being biased. That's just the real. That's the statistics. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just a lot of it is just women fail to take accountability and they lack empathy. So no one's gonna want to work with you if you those are your main quality or skill traits. You know what I mean? That isn't it's not how a business should be ran. No one's gonna engage with a person that has those fundamental qualities that, you know, basically guarantees success. Like if you're not accountable for things, how are you supposed to, how are you supposed to have people trust you when you make a mistake? Oh, that's not my fault. Oh, that's someone else's fault. I'm not gonna say sorry. You know, and what's the other one? They lack empathy, and you don't. When you lack empathy for others, when you fail to put yourself in someone else's shoes, people can sense that, and then they can be like, "Yo, what? Like, you expect me to do all this and get paid this or be compensated this much? Fuck no." You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why a lot of them, these independent girl bosses, are struggling right now. But back to the topic of marriage, right? So I believe the only real reason someone should get married is if they are going to have children, or if they're even forget the children, right? If they just want to have a commitment under God, I believe that's acceptable. So you go to whatever religious institution you're at. You know, I'm Catholic, so you would go to church, get married under the church. There should be the government shouldn't be involved at all. There should be no financial obligations from anyone. Um, Nothing, no marriage certificates. Uh, it's literally just underneath the church saying, "Hey, I'm Catholic." Yeah, I'm sorry about the background noise. I'm Catholic, so I want my son or daughter to be baptized. You know what I mean? So that's really it. Other than that, especially for the men, there's no real reason for getting married at all. And you should definitely reconsider that if you are planning on getting married. Uh, yeah, so I mean, with that answer, it kind of just I answered the whole thing. I don't even need to give my takes on why you don't need to get married. Everything else just kind of speaks for itself. Love is not genuine anymore, or, I mean, as much as it was in the past, it's not that anymore. There's no such thing as unconditional love. Women will always love in conditions, which is why they date up, which is why they're hypergamous. Um, and yeah, I feel like men should wake up. If you are left wing, I'm not even political for real. I'll put this out there. I didn't even vote. I don't vote, and I don't plan on voting. But I'm noticing each sides and what they stand on, and the men that are blue pilled or left winged, you know, they're more democratic. They are the ones that are suffering and getting played by these women. They're the ones that end up being simps. They're the ones that end up, going through emotions. I can't really say the same for Republicans. Every Republican is different from what I'm seeing. But, some Republicans are still blue pilled, which is crazy. But, I mean, that's definitely a thing. So I believe with this message that I'm putting out, everyone should just wake up. It's either men wake up to the deception and lies that females have been, portraying for a while, or women, which they most likely won't even do or even consider, they revert back to their old ways so the nuclear family can be saved. I don't think that will ever happen because we've just given up too much ground. It's like, why would we go back to being slaves? No, you're not being slaves. You're just making sure you're doing your part so a relationship can thrive. Because let's put the woman in the dominant position of the relationship. Honestly, that sounds like hell on earth. You know what I mean? And statistically, those relationships don't last because if we go back to what I said earlier, women are hypergamous. Why would I want a man that will be uh, submitting to me and everything when I can boost myself up, boss myself up with a higher status man? If that makes sense. So yeah, there's my take on that. And yeah, peace.